Why you keep feeling stuck. A guide to understanding your true identity. There was a season in my life when I knew nothing about life. Not in the philosophical sense, in the very practical sense. I did not know what I was doing, why I was doing it, or where I was going. I was doing what everyone around me was doing, going where everyone was going, and facing quietly a dead end. Being an introvert, I rarely asked others for help, so I asked myself a question. How do men become great? The answer came, as it often does, in the form of a book. And through that book, I understood something that changed the direction of everything. Identity is the real battlefield. What differentiates people is not the unfairness of life. It is the knowledge of God and themselves. That is what this video is about. Not surface level motivation, not a strategy for doing more, but the root, the actual reason you keep feeling stuck, no matter how hard you try. Identity is your story. Not a story you chose from a blank page. A story that was handed to you by your parents, your community, your history, your earliest experiences of what life is, and what you are allowed to expect from it. From birth, the conditions around you were already shaping your understanding of yourself. The family narrative, the village narrative, the national narrative. If those stories described expansion, connection, and freedom, you received a solid foundation. If they described limitation, separation, and contraction, you received a borrowed story about what life is. And you have been living from it ever since, without ever being given the chance to question whether it is true. There is a particular inherited story that has quietly shaped an entire generation of Ghanaians. The story of the slave trade, the story of colonization. Our forefathers were captured, diminished, and told, through action if not always through words, that they were less. That story did not end with independence, it settled into identity. And it subtly shapes how the average young Ghanaian understands their worth, relates to the world, and interprets what is possible for them. Independence is a legitimate political act, but celebrating independence without doing the inner identity work means the internal story remains unchanged. Inherited identity cannot be eliminated, it can only be replaced by an authentic one. Think of the fresh graduate sitting in Keta right now, 4 years of study, an economics degree, 40 applications, 3 interviews, nothing. He worked harder than most. The opportunity was genuinely limited. But underneath the surface, there is a question no one ever asked him to answer. Who does he believe he actually is? What does he believe he is capable of building? What story is he telling himself about his worth? Feeling stuck is not about lack of effort. It is not even primarily about lack of opportunity. It is about lack of clarity. You cannot move forward clearly if you do not understand who you are. Most people define themselves by their roles, their past experiences, other people's opinions of them. But those are not your true identity. They are descriptions, external labels, the inherited layer. When your identity is built on that layer, life becomes inconsistent. Directions feel unclear, decisions feel uncertain, and no matter how much changes on the outside, the inside feeling stays the same. Because identity is not fixed by circumstance, and it is fixed by story, and the story can be changed. Here is what most people miss about stuckness. You cannot know yourself without knowing your source. Identity is not self-created, it is source-defined. If your understanding of God is unclear, distant, or distorted, your identity will be unstable, confused, and incomplete. Your identity problem is at its root a source problem. Think of a mirror. You stand before it. You see your reflection. Every quality you carry, your features, your expression, your movement, the image reflects back. The image has inherited everything about you. This is precisely how you are the image and likeness of God. You are not just your body, not just your mind, not just your experiences. You are an expression of the source of life. Life, intelligence, awareness. These are not things you lack. They are things you have not yet recognized as yours. You are not stuck because you are lacking. You feel stuck because you are misidentified. Consider the young entrepreneur who has started and abandoned 3 businesses in 5 years. He blames the economy, the lack of funding, the unfaithful partners. All of those may be partly true. But the deeper signal, the one he keeps ignoring, means that he has not yet answered who he is beneath the businesses. Every time an enterprise failed, his identity took a blow, because he had built his sense of self on the venture, not on something more stable. The stuckness was not telling him he is a failure. It was telling him he has not yet found his foundation. Feeling stuck is not failure, it is feedback. It is life showing you that you are trying to operate from a story that is not fully true, not punishing you, redirecting you. And here is the practical shift that follows from understanding this. Most people move to action first and try to figure things out later, but real progress works in the opposite order. Clarity first, then action. Consider the professional who changed jobs, changed cities, eventually left the country, and arrived at the same internal experience in a new place. The scenery changed. The inner story did not. External change without internal identity shift produces the same result wherever you go. The simple shift is this. Instead of asking, what should I do? Start asking, who am I operating as right now? That single question begins to move you before anything on the outside changes. The work of knowing God and yourself is not complicated, but it is deliberate. It begins the moment you stop waiting for your circumstances to change and start asking who you truly are beneath them. You are not stuck, you are ready for clarity. And clarity is the beginning of everything. Read the full article at lifewordcoaching.substack.com. The link is in the description. If this names something real for you, share it with someone who has been waiting for their circumstances to change before they begin.